All right, hey, welcome, folks. Mil-Spec Option here is going to be your SITREP. It is 11/15/2023. And without further ado, we're going to jump over into our mini board, take a look at the skies, and then we're going to just break it down for you. We have got, I'm telling you, the most treasonous action ever by a government, especially the United States government. We are aiding and abetting terrorists around the world. And we're going to look at everything from the C-17 flights that just don't really make a lot of sense to the fact that we are freeing up more money for Iran after they continue to take shots at our troops. How do you get away with that and stay in office is beyond me. Why we the people allow this stuff to happen is also beyond me. So here we go. Let's get on over here to the mini board as we take a look at the skies. And we're sitting right now at about 190 aircraft up. It's a somewhat of a busy for the middle of the week kind of day, but it's really what's up, not how many is up, as I've said before. The one thing that I will point out, numbers are a little bit light when it comes to some of the the things like C-17s, et cetera. We're going to look at those over the last 24 hours, and that'll kind of give you a roll up and a big picture of where things are going. But the other piece too, notice here we've got 23 H-60s up. Notice where most of them are. All right. And that's a pretty high number, usually about 6 to 8. It's not ever that high. On occasion, we do see a little higher than that. But also T-38s, we've already taken out 49 of those and 38 of the lawn darts right here out of the middle of the United States. It's a gorgeous day in Texas. Blue skies, about 70 degrees today for the high. It just doesn't get any better than that, not here. So it's pretty nice to have. And so it looks like it's going to be that way all week. Now, we look at the air refuelers. You can see 17 air refuelers up. Just notice they're just getting started here in the middle of the state or the states here in CONUS. And then let me go down. We look for the others. There's a couple B767-200 Pegasus air refuelers as well, and that brings our total number up to, let's see, we've got just about 25, maybe 20, little less, between 25 and 30. And let me just back that out and give us the roll up, and let's get into the deets. So we're not going to bother with watch list this morning. I'm going to just skip through that because we're looking at stuff real time anyway. A lot of survey flights up as always, but the main thing, let's look at the intelligence side of the house. Notice you've got some transitions out from Southern California, Southern Tucson, Arizona. You expect to see that. Got a lot of transitions across the United States into other areas, down into Florida. A little bit of activity and work over the D.C. area. And I'm looking down into Panama to see if we had any intel flights that I can see. I don't see any there. Then we get over to Europe. It's the same spots we always see off the Baltic Sea, down along the left-hand side of Ukraine, so to speak. And then look at the work that's going on over the Mediterranean. Remember, we've got one carrier group in there. And then the stuff going on over Israel, you expect to see that. Notice we have some flights going on over Iraq, right? And then over kind of, UAE side of the house, but headed over to Pakistan, which is interesting. All right. So let's look at the AWACS. This also tells a story. Remember, these handle congestion. They are advanced warning aircraft as well. And they also do man in the middle. So they are gathering intelligence in just their multifaceted type of way. But you can see those, a lot of little man in the middle circles there over Germany. Notice that one over Louisiana. That's a hot spot. We've been watching fighters and refuelers and a lot of different things. What's going on down there in Louisiana, I don't know. And then notice this one here out over the water. All right. AWACS. Okay. Now we're going to look at this particular area a little closer now because I think it's important. And just mainly look at this. We're going to look at the vessels. All right, government ship, right? Government vessel, 2 government vessels, same area we just saw the AWACS. Now, this was the day before yesterday, I believe. Moscow, Spirit. Interesting. That's going to be an oil tanker leaving the region. Okay, but notice you got 2 government ships down at in that same area where the AWACS is. Now look at this. These are H-60 Blackhawks, and they've been busy out there for a couple of days now. Same area. There's a dozen of those. Watch when I flip the switch on to you can see it. Look at, there's 12 of those over the same area. You got an E3 Sentry. We just looked at that. And then you've got an E6 just a little north. But all of that activity going on down in Southern California. We're going to look at the NOTAMs on that as well. And then we've got an R-135. That's a British R-135 that has both RAF as well as USAF people on it, right? So different mix of troops. And you got the little snake tongue looking at the Texas border. I don't know what that is looking out towards Louisiana over in the eastern side of Texas. Maybe a calibration flight or something. And we expect to see this headed up and down through the Baltic region, near the Baltic Sea, over into, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, et cetera, because it kind of puts it right up against Russia, all right? Now, that is where we are on the R-135s. And then we're going to take a look at the C-17s. And this becomes important because when we talk about this feathering effect, right? Notice there were, for a while there, when this thing first kicked off, it was very, very thick spaghetti noodles, so to speak, in and out of the port areas. Now look how it's starting to fan out across the United States. All these other different bases. That's either one of two things. Either we are deploying troops from those locations, or two, we are flying immigrants in to those locations, right? Just like we've done in the past. Little white tent cities, they're doing it in El Paso, et cetera. Fort Dix has got one very active. And in fact, the Middle Easterners go through Fort Dix, right? We know that because the Afghanis are going in and out. Now, again, this is just a data point for you, but see that spread, that fan out. All right. Now we get over to Europe and look how it really starts to kind of tighten in, almost like a fiber optic bundle. Okay. In and out of Germany. And then notice the broken traces as you get over towards Turkey and towards the Middle East. Right. A lot of broken traces. Now, if we get in a little closer, we start to drill down. Notice a lot of flights in and out of Cyprus, but notice this one. That's the border right there of Israel. To the right of that, that is Jordan, Amman, Jordan. That's on the other side of the West Bank. Okay, and then notice the other flights in and out of that area on the Egypt side of Gaza. So that tells you we are not sending troops and equipment and stuff inside of Israel. They're going on the other sides. And that also could tell you we're picking up folks and bringing them to the United States. All right. So keep that in mind. Now we're going to look more at the terrorist side of the house, but this is the weather side of the house, the science. Let me ask you, that's not the tip of Florida. That is Cape Town, South Africa, and that's NOAA. They've been there for several weeks. But what exactly are they doing? I don't know. But if I were in that region, I'd be paying close attention to the skies, the weather, all kinds of different things, right? And you just don't know what these folks are doing. We've known that they can't be trusted. That much is for sure, okay? And then if you're in the Northeast, take a look at this. There's your NOAA boys up there hanging out. Anytime these guys show up, it's... it's kind of like the guy from the Weather Channel. When you see him stand on the corner, you're like, oh, it's about to get real. All right. You can see him down into Florida. Notice what we do have in Florida. Now, they are based out of Florida, so that's probably why you see a lot of activity down there. All right. Southern California. Notice the direction. It's along the border. And then you get up here towards Portland, same thing. We got a lot of weather moving into those regions right now. And then, of course, the Dakotas, Minnesota, all right, Wisconsin, kind of side of the house. All right, and then look at the weather mod. Now, these are the guys these are cloud seeders, all right? These are the folks that are pumping stuff into the clouds to make them just explode with rain and wind and hail and all kinds of things, all right? That one kind of over Nevada, the southern side of Utah, I believe it was. And then notice here, right? same areas that NOAA is located. And then this one, I always find this interesting. See that? There you go. Is that to, and then up a little bit further north there, Nova Scotia side of the house. Is that for, they trying to give Flashbang a little bit of nice weather? I don't really know. And then, again, near Riyadh. Okay. If we click over and we just take a look at the weather side of the house, I was looking down at South Africa, et cetera, just see what was going on in the weather, because they just had some really freaky weather with some large hailstones. Very uncommon there in Johannesburg region. But look at this. This is where they are starting to spool up. But notice which direction everything is flowing. It's headed out towards Bahrain and where our troops are. Okay, which they're in Riyadh as well. But, let's just, we'll bypass that. So let's get over here to the mini board and take a gander at the news. We're going to start out with Flashbang's schedule, and it looks like he is meeting with, must be collecting a check from Z in San Francisco, and that looks like that is his day today. So we will move on, because we're just going to talk about some of the stupid moves that this guy has been making. None of it is for, their platform of Build Back Better. Like I said, they're not building back anything better in the United States. In fact, they're tearing down the United States, and they're Build Back Better Ukraine, Iran, Gaza, Palestine, everybody that is not us. Afghanistan, leaving $7 billion worth of equipment in the desert for our enemies to get their hands on. Yep. But check this out. U.S. plans to buy 1.2 million barrels of oil for the SPR. Now, you may go, wow, that's a lot of oil. 1.2 million barrels. Yeah, it would be a lot of oil. But here's the thing that they don't tell you, is that we consume about 55 million barrels of oil a day in the United States. So 1.2 million barrels is like, you're talking 3 hours or something worth of runtime in terms of oil here for our country. So it's, maybe it's a game of inches. I don't know. The problem is Flashbang made the point early on that, hey, when it gets to $72 a barrel, we're going to buy big. Well, it ain't getting there, folks. In fact, it's still going up. And it's not going to get there anytime soon. Our enemies know that. That's why they're doing that. So anyway, there's your first piece. Now, as I mentioned, the treason that our government is committing, and you got to see this. Iran-backed militias attacked the U.S. forces in Syria 4 times in less than 24 hours. Yeah, they're popping things off against our troops that are in Syria as well as Iraq, okay? And then you get over here to this and you go, okay, check this out. Flashbang, considering giving $10 billion more to Iran through sanctions. Right? Again, they're popping shots off on our troops, and this guy turns right around and says, hey, listen, I'm going to free up some more stuff for you so you can get out there and get your nuclear program going and everything else. And that's treason. I'm just telling you. When you start to aid the enemy, when you bring them into our country, and we're going to look at that too, in droves, that's treason, okay? And we, the people, need to hold them accountable, all right? Okay, here we go. UK terrorism official. There's a real acceleration by Iran to assassinate enemies on foreign soil. Who do you think they're talking about here? You think it's Flashbang? It's not him. I will bet money on it, because this guy's giving him, he's freeing up $10 billion. Yeah, you know who they're going after? Trump. All right. So just keep that in mind. And if there was anybody in office that would make it, easy for him to do so, it'd be this guy right here. Yeah. Bazooka Joe, right? Giving his enemies money so that they can go out and do things against our former presidents and our troops. All right, moving on. Biden's Migrant mobile app frees 354 nationals into the United States, 3x the population of Manchester New Hampshire. So, yeah, let that sink in. As we mentioned just in a couple sit reps back, we are now bringing more people in to the United States than our birth rate in the United States. You got to let that sink in a minute. That's how ridiculous this is. And oh, by the way, can I show you? Let's take a look at this picture. You see any women and children on that? Goose egg. This is what's coming into our country. Fighting age males. All right. So that's military age fighting males that are coming in droves to our country. All right. Okay. Let's move on from Breitbart. Let's get over to this little jewel. All right. Germany says EU won't reach the ammo target for Ukraine. Well, I will tell you, when we start looking at some of the flights, you're going to see we've all but abandoned anything going into Ukraine. What they're getting is bare minimum. In fact, it almost appears that we are moving troops from the region into the Middle East, okay? But it says here, Germany on Tuesday deepened its despondency around Western efforts to back Ukraine by saying the EU would not reach a target to supply Kiev with 1 million artillery shells by March. That's just the EU. Well, the United States isn't doing it either because guess what, folks? We don't have it to give. We need it for ourselves because we're about to go fight a war. And even for this little limited war, if it's against Iran or against Yemen or wherever their proxies are in the Middle East, yeah, we're not going to have enough. We'll have enough to fight that stuff. But beyond that, yeah, we have no reach back. That's the problem. All right. Moving on. Now, there is a glimmer of good news, and I want you to just soak it up, because when I say coming to you live from the great state of Texas, there's a reason for that. It's because Texas we don't mess around, right? We have the old saying, mess around and find out, right? and they don't say it that nice. It's another word, but I say it because I'm a Christian, and it's not good to say the other word. So the first bill approved by the Texas Senate, this happened yesterday, appropriates $1.54 billion for border security operations and the construction, operation, and maintenance of a border barrier infrastructure. $1.54 billion. So that was the first bill approved yesterday by Texas. So it looks like we are getting our game on in terms of shutting down the flow. And even though I turn around and show you, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol is a federal agency, okay? Those are the guys whose hands are tied because they are federal employees. Those are the ones also that are taking the bulldozers and lifting up the razor wires so that illegals can get in and out. So here's the other piece to this. The second bill approved by the Texas Senate, SB 4, creates a state crime of illegal immigration in Texas. It prohibits entry, of any alien from a foreign nation into Texas except at an official port of entry. All right? So these folks that are coming across, Eagle Pass and all the other locations, they are just that. They are illegals, okay? You call them that because it is illegal what they are doing. They're breaking the law, and if you and I were to do that, we can't even drive around with an inspection sticker missing or outdated on your vehicle and we get pulled over. Yet these folks are coming free into our country and they're getting all kinds of freebies as they come in. Everything from cell phones to TVs to free plane tickets anywhere they want to go in the United States, housing, tuition reimbursement, everything, free dental and health. and us who are paying taxes are having to foot the bill for all of that. Okay. So what they are saying with this one is now that Texas DPS can arrest them. You don't have to have, ICE or Customs and Border Patrol or any of that, right? Police can lock them up and then deport them out of the country. Okay. Thank God for that. So there is a little glimmer of hope in the fact that Texas has got their stuff together and that they are actually doing the right things. Now we just need to secede and get away from the union, in my opinion, unless Trump gets back in, because they're going to be up against, flashbang in this regime for, however long, okay, which is going to tie our hands. So now we were talking a little while ago about just this, and I said a little while ago, a couple minutes ago, we were saying, man, there is a sea of activity going on, Southern California. I showed you some ships that were in the area. So we know we've got U.S. government ships, vessels out here. Now, whether or not it's Navy, Coast Guard, I don't know. But this is the area that they were in. But when you show up and you've got advanced warning AWACS, right, in the area, you have the R-135 coming into the exact same area. Then on top of that, you have 12 Blackhawks, right? And those are coming out of San Diego. So very likely those have booms on them, and those got, those are your creme de la creme pilots from SOAR, and more than likely you probably got some high-speed dudes on those as well. And I would maybe even venture to guess that what we saw there were them flying and basically inspecting, maybe even dropping onto the front of some of these ships to go, check things. I don't know, but that certainly looks like what we were witnessing there. So what are they worried about? We talking Club Ks? We talking human trafficking? We talking troops from another country that may be going down into Mexico? There's no telling, and we may never know, but that is exactly what was going on. Now, that wasn't and doesn't appear to look like any type of exercise. In fact, it looks like what we have here is a danger area that has been activated. That's the 15th through the 16th, so it's 2 days, but that'll continue on because this has been down here for a while. Looking at some of the other boxes, again, danger area, and I don't know what this one is, danger, all right, danger area. And then let's look at this one right here. That's just a reserved airspace, so that's not part of this other stuff. But yeah, it looks like they are really, really focusing on some things down there, especially when you see the suite of aircraft that we have been watching in the general region. That tells you that, and it's that particular electronic suite is something that, can look for all kinds of different things, right? So anything from nukes to anything, vehicles, enemy ships, submarines. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff those things can do. Listen to communications. Those things have a lot of technology and capability that we don't necessarily know about as well. All right. Now, remember too, not too long ago, we saw several of the intel balloons coming out to the same area. So again, I think this is a big worry. Remember also that a lot of the ships that are no longer coming into U.S. ports are coming right past here through this little shipping lane down into both Mexico and through Panama Canal into South America. All right. Now let's take a look. You saw this up here. This is where flashbang is, and it even looks like maybe Bob Marley's there with him. Okay. But this is one that's been there for a while. Let me back up a little to see if we've got anything else. A lot of slop coming in. This is turbulence. That's what the yellow stuff is. And if it goes orange like that right here, that's super high turbulence. So you go flying through that, you're going to get very bounced around. All right. Let me look over here into Europe. Just note the amount of boxes that are now just covering up this entire area, all the way into here, all the way up into here. Now, one thing I will say is that the effort by the Russians right now has been stepping up. Okay, they're actually starting to come around. You're seeing more strikes up here towards Kiev. This is Kiev here, right? But you're starting to see a lot more aerial assaults and strikes here, as well as the whole eastern flank of Ukraine or western flank of Russia. So it does look like they have picked this time to basically get their game on as well. All right. Okay. And then here's that sloppy weather stuff we were just talking about from the weather mod perspective into Riyadh. And, they're going to turn this desert into probably a very tropical, nice area based on the amount of rain they just keep doing. It's pretty wild to see them do that. Now, let me see what this is all about. Just a restricted area. That may be actually where they're doing the cloud seeding stuff in this spot right here. Okay, let's move on. We're going to take just a quick gander at a couple of the bases. There's not a lot to cover from that standpoint because they have really slowed down a lot. The only thing I am seeing are the flights that you don't want to see, which indicate to me that we're moving the migrants in and out of these areas. So this particular, like these little 737 Sun Countries, this one's coming in from Minneapolis. Same with this one, 2 Sun Countries out of that location. We go down a little further. Don't worry about the Glex. Notice that it is picking up some folks, taking them to Chicago O'Hare. That's what we would call rehoming. All right. Now, who are they taking? More than likely the ones that are at Biggs Army Airfield. Remember, it is a giant camp there. It holds about 15,000 people. And most, you can see them, they'll flush out the folks that are Spanish speaking, which they're not going there. They may have from time to time, but because of the multitude of folks that are coming in from Palestine and from Gaza, from Afghanistan, this place right here, because of the climate, they're bringing them in, and that is where a lot of the Middle Easterners are going. And then, of course, they pick them up, put them on an aircraft after they've been cleared and given, all of their funding that they need to go establish themselves in our country, and they send them to these locations. So if you're in Minneapolis, St. Paul, just know, as always, you're continuing to get, the Muslims up there, okay? And same thing like this one headed to Chicago O'Hare. All right. Now, I do have a very close friend of mine, super great dude that works for one of the major airlines that operates out of this particular area, Dallas-Fort Worth. And I will tell you, he has asked me specifically, hey, are you tracking these people coming into our country? I said, yeah, I actually am. It's not good. And I said, are you seeing anything on your flights? And he said, yeah, and it's not good. He goes, all the time. And he said, they're fighting age males. I don't see women and children getting on here with their host. I see fighting age males, and they're going all over the country. And he's a 737 guy, right? So, all right. Now we get over here to, this is RZE Poland, and this is why I wanted to tell you. Notice what you're missing here. Yeah, none of the 747s are showing up bringing stuff in. It's, in fact, it has gone away, and it has just completely subsided almost maybe 3-4 weeks ago when it just started to fizzle out. So whatever is there has been engaged, is being used and sent into probably Ukraine, and they're not getting replenished. So when they run out of artillery, it's going to be game on like Donkey Kong, okay? So check this out. I mean, this one right here, this is Western Global coming in from Washington Dulles. Is it picking people up? I don't know. Is it bringing more troops in? I don't know, but it's an MD-11. It'll be a troop one, okay? We get over to this side. This is going to be U.S. Transportation Command, right? Notice the bases. Ramstein. This one here, Hawaii, and then near Cairo. We go over here to this side, and you've got, that's NATO, and they look to be coming out of Cyprus. All right. National Cargo. And you can see Osan, right? JFK, Anchorage, Alaska. They are probably bringing in the 155 millimeter artillery for us. And then let's go Royal Transports. Just notice that they're in and out of between Crete and Cyprus and all over Europe. And let me see, last one, and that's going to be Ramstein. And just notice their troops, right? Multiple Camber flights coming in, 777, 767, and then down here, notice where they're headed, unknown, Cairo, Baltimore, Washington, and Doha. All right, so looks like they are pushing troops out from that location. So, all right, listen, that's going to do it for our SITREP today. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. We'll see you on Friday. Keep that powder dry and stay frosty. Talk soon. God bless. Monkey out. Thanks for watching, folks. You can check out the latest gear and products by selecting the QR code on your screen now or go to monkeyworksus.com.